He's responsible for making the news funny and turning a whole generation politically active.
If only there were a secure place to put the videotape of this for all time. Where could we put it?
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Jon Stewart moments. For this list, we're looking at the funniest, most emotionally impactful, and most memorable moments from the career of the former host of The Daily Show. Because of Jon's massive influence, we're expanding the list beyond The Daily Show, as well as other appearances in the media.
Hey, what are you guys talking about? What? I miss everything. Normally this time of night there's no one here. I'm usually just sleeping. What were you guys talking about?
Oh.
Number 10. First interview with Barack Obama. Jon Stewart had interviewed both former presidents and presidential hopefuls in the past, but the prospect of interviewing a sitting president always seemed too far away. That is, until President Obama agreed to an interview in October of 2010.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. That's all the time we have.
Obama had appeared on the show before, but the stakes were very clearly different this time around. Stewart held the president's feet to the fire, contrasting the campaign of hope he ran on with the results of his first 2 years in Washington.
How did we go in 2 years from hope and change, we are the people we've been looking for, to you're not going to give them the keys, are you?
The interview showed how much Stewart's position in the media landscape had shifted since he started, and that he was able to stand toe-to-toe with the most powerful man in the world.
We have done things that some folks don't even know about. 4
What
million
have you done
kids.
that we don't know about?
Well,
Number 9. Trump Pizza Rant. When former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin came to the Big Apple to meet with future President of the United States Donald Trump, Stewart was initially pleased at their choice of meal: New York pizza.
You know what? Slice of pizza. Respect.
He became skeptical, though, when the Donald took her to a run-of-the-mill pizza place. Strike 2 came when it was revealed that Trump stacks his slices on top of each other.
Son of a bitch! Mother... And you stack your slices, Donald?
The final blow came when true New Yorker Donald Trump was filmed eating his pizza with a fork.
Are you eating it with a fork? A f***ing fork! Ah!
This led to a rant for the ages from Jon, validating the sacred item that is New York pizza, and even questioning Trump's claim of being a true New Yorker.
Donald Trump, why don't you just take that fork and stick it right in New York's eye?
Number 8. Conservative Libertarian, also known as Burning Glenn Beck. Republican pundit Glenn Beck moved to Fox News from HLN in 2009, and his visibility skyrocketed despite some questionable views and actions. Stewart, meanwhile, found the animated conservative a target ripe for parody.
I'm going to show you something that is going to blow your mind. Why am I the only one that's saying it? Am I crazy, or...
Through a series of segments over the course of Beck's run on Fox News, Stewart performed a pitch-perfect impression of Beck's crazy mannerisms and outlandish theories.
What could you possibly have that would look like that? Oh, I don't know. Jesus?
The impression reached its peak with Conservative Libertarian, where Jon attempted to connect progressivism to everything from Nazism to Bert from Sesame Street using printed pictures and blackboards. Despite the massive praise the segments received, Jon never did performance art of this scale on the show again, proving Beck was truly a one-of-a-kind figure, for better or worse.
Tell me, word on the board, who is doing the lying? Aryans! Aryans! Holy...
Number 7. You don't own this country. After a crazy week involving the resignation of Roger Ailes from Fox News and the Republican National Convention, Stephen Colbert wished for someone to share his emotions with. Luckily, Jon Stewart emerged from under Colbert's desk and asked to get something off his chest.
Lack of pleasure with.
From there, he embarked on an epic rant railing against the Republican Party, Fox News, and Donald Trump for the mess that took place in Cleveland that week. It concluded with an emotionally charged tirade that told the right that they don't and never have owned America.
This country isn't yours. You don't own it. It never was. There is no real America. You don't own it.
It was a brief but fantastic return to what made Jon famous, and he thankfully made subsequent appearances on The Late Show once the Trump administration began.
He's lying on purpose. You know how?
How?
Because he constantly says the phrase, believe me.
Number 6. Owning Jim Cramer. Following a week of Jon bashing CNBC for their failure to warn consumers of the 2008 financial crisis, Mad Money host Jim Cramer came on the show after speaking out against Jon's criticism of the network. While the interview started off civil, Stewart ultimately tore into Cramer, asking him what he thought the purpose of CNBC should be, and even exposing his own hypocrisy by playing clips of him from a 2006 interview.
I'm not gonna say it on TV. It's on TV now.
These clips were responsible for inducting the phrase Roll 212 into the Daily Show lexicon, basically as code for your career is over.
I mean, if I may, just roll
It's your
212.
show, for heaven's sake.
Roll 212.
No, not 212.
Stewart was praised for his passion and integrity during the interview, even though it didn't really affect Cramer.
I can't reconcile the brilliance and knowledge that you have of the intricacies of the market with the crazy bullshit I see you do every night.
Fair enough.
Number 5. Owning Bill O'Reilly. Despite Fox News being one of the main targets of The Daily Show, Jon Stewart and Bill O'Reilly always managed to maintain a civil, if competitive, relationship. The two appeared on each other's shows several times, but the best moments were when Stewart was on O'Reilly's turf.
It sounds like what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to be wrong when I'm with you, because you know I got mad love for you. That's a rap phrase.
I got it.
There, the two debated everything, including Jon's role as a comedian, Obama inviting rapper Common to the White House, and the threat of terrorism. With a couple of exceptions of dramatic embellishment, the two kept their conversations restrained and respectful.
Guess who wrote a song about Leonard Peltier?
Yeah.
Bono.
Okay.
Guess where he was? The White House. Booyah!
Stewart's appearances showed he was more than able to hold his own against O'Reilly, even out of his element, and made smart, relevant points in the process.
Let me
And
tell
you
you
do it
something.
very well.
That's not the only thing you like about me. I'm like a shot of Levittown, right in your ass like a B-12. Boom.
I think I'm going to commit suicide.
Number 4. Interview with Malala Yousafzai. For a guy who meets with everyone from movie stars to world leaders, you wouldn't expect Jon Stewart to be humbled by much. However, he was reduced to childlike wonder and amazement when he met with Pakistani activist and Nobel Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me.
It is an honor for us. I know me.
As Malala relayed her inspirational story to Jon, he couldn't help but listen with his hands up to his face, reduced to speechlessness at the amazing things she said.
And I would tell him, that's what I want to tell you. Now do what you want.
Malala remained a source of inspiration for Jon and The Daily Show, as her one-of-a-kind activism brought light after some of the darkest times in recent history.
I will say this. I don't know where you come from, but I am very glad you're here.
Number 3. Crushing Crossfire. The political debate show Crossfire had been a staple of CNN's lineup since 1982. Then, Jon Stewart came to visit. While hosts Paul Begala and Tucker Carlson thought Stewart was coming on to promote America the Book, he was really there to ask them to stop hurting America.
Here's just what I wanted to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop hurting America.
Okay.
He spent the whole segment taking the show and the host to task, calling it partisan hackery, and saying that instead of nuanced debate, they just showcased both extremes of the political spectrum.
If your idea of confronting me is that I don't ask hard-hitting enough news questions, we're in bad shape, fellas.
The confrontation even resulted in Stewart calling Carlson a dick on air.
You know what's interesting, though? You're as big a dick on your show as you are on any show.
The segment immediately went viral, and CNN canceled the program in 2005, with the network noting that they agreed with Stewart's criticisms. Number 2. September 11th response. 9/11 affected nearly all TV shows produced in New York, and The Daily Show was no exception. The show returned on September 20th, 2001 for the first time since the attacks, opening with a monologue from Stewart.
I wanted to tell you why I grieve. But why I don't despair.
After offering condolences to the victims, he began to break down. To Jon, this was not a time for despair, because he saw the purpose of America realized. He closed the emotional monologue with a message of hope, saying what the view from his home is now.
The view from the south of Manhattan is now the Statue of Liberty. You can't beat that.
Stewart's response to the tragedy set the tone of the show for years to come and served as a reminder of how powerful he can be, even when he's not telling jokes.
And that's why we've already won. They can't. It's light. It's democracy. We've already won.
Before we unveil our number one pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Al Gore got 350,000 more votes nationally, so that's kind of funny. And kind of funny. I bet Al Gore get a big kick out of that. One of the highest voter turnouts of all time, and we have a legitimate win for the... Don't you feel good? The system works. But then, Governor, answer this. How do you propose we nation build? Would you use diplomacy?
Let me say this to you. I wouldn't use force. I wouldn't use force.
Not quite at the end yet. Almost there, though. Just be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. All right, back to business. Number 1, advocating for the first responders. One of the causes that seems closest to Jon Stewart's heart is healthcare coverage for the 9/11 first responders.
And what better reason to work together than on a bill providing health care for 9/11 first responders and relief workers currently suffering chronic health problems.
Because of their work at Ground Zero after the September 11th attacks, these members of the NYPD and Fire Department of New York face health risks, including respiratory illnesses and cancer. On The Daily Show, Stewart campaigned tirelessly for the Zadroga Act, a bill that would provide financial aid to those affected, while also criticizing Congress for dragging their heels and other media members for not covering the subject more.
Imagine the seismic pundit ripples of anger when politicians put craven political expedients over the well-being of our nation's most deserving heroes.
Ultimately, the bill was passed in 2011. However, Stewart was back in front of lawmakers in 2019 to oppose cuts to the 9/11 Victim Fund and to ensure compensation past the 2020 expiry date.
Behind me, a filled room of 9/11 first responders, and in front of me, a nearly empty Congress.
Stewart choked up as he chastised the half-empty room, earning himself a standing ovation.
They did their jobs with courage, grace, tenacity, humility. 18 years later, do yours.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.